When did your job become something out of a horror movie? My boss required all employees to participate in increasingly extreme trust-building exercises that started with awkward sharing circles and ended with someone dying. It seemed like a totally normal advertising firm when I started, except for my boss Derek, who was completely obsessed with team building. Every morning he'd make us all hug each other and share our emotional weather during staff meetings. Derek would monitor our social media accounts and make us come to weekend company barbecues, but honestly I didn't care at first. The pay was amazing, and my 8-year-old daughter Lily had cancer, so the health insurance was literally keeping her alive. Everyone else was desperate to keep their jobs during the recession too, so we all just went along with Derek's weird requirements. He'd make us do these vulnerability circles, where we had to share embarrassing childhood stories, and these blindfolded trust walks where you had to rely on coworkers to guide you around. Derek was convinced that breaking down personal boundaries would make us better at our jobs. Then at this company retreat, Derek announced that we were starting monthly deep trust challenges. He got this crazy excited look in his eyes and said, "We're going to push past your comfort zones and help you discover what real trust looks like, because mediocre teams play it safe, but extraordinary teams risk everything for each other." The first exercises were just uncomfortable. Extended eye contact, group massages, stuff like that. But Derek told us that was just the beginning. And then he handed out these liability waivers and told us that if we didn't participate, we'd be fired for failure to embrace company culture. Things got weirder fast. We had to confess our deepest fears to everyone, do naked trust exercises where we were blindfolded and random coworkers touched us, and walk across these narrow beams while trusting people to catch us if we fall. It kept getting more dangerous. Trust falls from higher and higher places, group fasting for days, these psychological experiments where we had to scream insults at each other to build resilience. My coworker Sarah broke her wrist falling backward off a table during one exercise, and Derek just said, "See, this proves you guys need to trust each other more." Then Derek organized what he called the ultimate trust challenge. He made us go up to the roof of our 3-story building and jump off into a net that our coworkers were holding. I watched my colleague Mike climb up there, and Derek was shouting, "You have to believe in your team. Trust is everything." Mike jumped, missed the net completely, and died right there on the pavement. Derek started screaming at all of us that we hadn't believed in each other enough and that we'd killed Mike with our lack of trust. I tried to quit the next day, but Derek reminded me that my contract had this 6-month notice clause, and if I left immediately, I'd lose my health insurance right when Lily needed it most. I was going crazy thinking about it for 3 days, but then Derek announced the next trust challenge. We were going to play Russian roulette, passing around a gun loaded with a single bullet and take turns firing it at each other to prove that we trusted each other with our lives, just like Mike had. That's when I knew I had to get out no matter how much it meant I'd have to pay for Lily's treatment. When I found out that one of my coworkers was in the hospital with a critical gunshot wound from a mysterious shooting at an abandoned warehouse just a couple days later, I knew I'd made the right choice. But Derek didn't take my quitting lying down. He started telling everyone I'd been stealing money and sexually harassing women during the trust exercises. He hired private investigators to follow me around and called every marketing firm in the city to say I was dangerous. He even called Lily's hospital and told them I was using fake insurance to scam them, so they delayed her chemo for weeks while they investigated. He even told them that he suspected I was abusing her, so I was interrogated by CPS and not allowed in her hospital room while she was sobbing and begging for me. But it turned out someone else was ready to take action too. My coworker Lisa, who was recovering in the same hospital from her gunshot wound and heard about what Derek was doing to me. She and I worked together and hired a lawyer, and they uncovered everything that Derek had been making us do. What we hadn't known was that he'd been filming everything because he wanted to sell his trust building program to other companies. The guy was literally planning to franchise this insanity, but all that video evidence ended up being the nail in his coffin. Derek got arrested for manslaughter and they shut the whole company down. Now I'm working 3 part-time jobs trying to make up the money I lost, and Lily's treatments are partially covered by charity programs since I can't afford the same insurance anymore. I have nightmares about those trust exercises, and I feel sick when I think about Mike and his family. It's terrifying every month when the bills for Lily's treatment come in, and I know I'm never going to have a boss who pays me like Derek did, but probably I won't have one who tries to kill me either.